Hello, I'm Jim Roberts. I'm the host of Senior Living in Alexander. We're here for our monthly program that we put together for seniors, family, friends, others in the community that need to learn or want to know something about seniors. I'm pleased to have with me a special guest. This is Francia Smith. She's Marketing Director of Arden Courts Memory Care in their Annandale location. And she's here today for this program to provide information, but I'm equally excited that she's going to be part of the Senior Services in Alexander Speaker Series in February, and that will be on maintaining memory and coping with its loss. So welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Tell me a little bit about how did you get, what took you to that, and why do you do it? What's your background and experience, but also what's your contact with it?
I have over 15 years of healthcare experience specifically, but the last 9 of that I've spent dedicating myself to helping those with Alzheimer's and dementia-related disorders, be it the actual individuals or the family members themselves.
Is that because of professional training or just your instinct and your aptitude?
Well, I like helping people that that belong to vulnerable populations.
Okay. Good.
And in addition to that, it's something that's very close to my heart. My grandmother was actually diagnosed with vascular dementia in 2008, and I had already embarked on the memory care side of the senior health industry. So that just added fuel to the fire and really ramped up my dedication to it.
Well, there's, as we all become aware, there's incredible need and growing, and so it's good of you that you took that on. Tell me a little bit about Arden Care. What is Arden Care? What do you do?
Arden Courts.
Arden Courts. Thank you. That's
Arden Courts, the story of Arden Courts actually started over 20 years ago. Our parent company, Manor Care, realized, and they already had 40 years of healthcare experience, but they realized that there was a problem that was surging that had to do with dementia. And that there weren't enough resources out in the communities to really support them and to help them on their journey. But they didn't want it to be a knee-jerk reaction. So they said, okay, we want to help, but let's see how. So they gathered a whole panel of experts. They worked with family caregivers, and they spent 5 years, day in and day out, conducting research and gathering all of their resources to make sure that they could actually design the model that Arden Courts is today.
And tell me, what is Arden Courts? Is it a place? Is it a service? Is it all of those? Is it consultation? Tell me a little bit more about what Arden Courts does.
So Arden Courts is an assisted living community that provides memory care services. And the very first location was in 1994, right around the corner in Potomac, Maryland.
Okay. What's the range of geography that Arden Courts covers? Are you just in the metropolitan area?
So in the metropolitan area, we have 5 locations. We have 2 in Virginia, one at Annandale, the one that I work at, another one at Fair Oaks, and then we also have 3 in the Maryland area. And those are Silver Spring, Kensington, and Potomac.
I see. And so is it a physical living facility, or is it more than that?
It's a community. So it's actually a place where people can go to receive memory care 24/7.
So it goes beyond just a room, all the basic needs are met of food, clothing, shelter, etc. But there's also maybe a medical staff or a caregiving staff that is, what you said, 24/7?
24/7. We actually have nursing care on site, 24/7 at many of our locations.
Excuse me.
And beyond the metropolitan area, the Metro DC area, we've actually expanded beyond that because the needs have continued to grow.
Right.
So we had to meet that need.
What are some of the services that would be provided? I mean, are there recreation social services? Are there medical services? Are there continuous care? Are there special needs? How do you decide what the services are?
At Arden Courts, we're able to address all different stages of memory loss.
Ah, okay.
So it could be somebody that's in the very beginning stages, in the earlier stages, who's considered a little bit higher functioning, as well as the later stages. And we recommend people to actually seek out the help sooner rather than later, to not wait for a crisis to happen before trying to get a diagnosis, trying to get some more information from their doctors. Mm-hmm. As soon as they start seeing those memory loss symptoms or indicators, it's important for them to not see it as a scary situation, but more be proactive as opposed to reactive.
How do you, you're marketing director, which to me means create awareness of Arden Courts. But how do doctors, general public, potential patients or clients or residents, how do they learn about Arden Courts? I mean, is it automatic, or what do you do by way of marketing?
One of our main goals is to educate the community and to collaborate with organizations such as Senior Services of Alexandria to provide educational series and events and opportunities for the community to come and learn about this dilemma that's covering the entire United States.
You must have to do an individual assessment of each person to find the extent of their ability, their capacity. And is that done by on-site staff, recommendation by their physician, your staff, or how do you sort that out?
One of our qualified team members will go and visit the family member and just conduct a friendly visit. And during that visit, they will use their knowledge and seek out indicators that will ultimately be the assessment.
And then they'll tailor the services and probably the particular type of residents to what they assess the needs would be.
And it's really not just us. It's also taking the input from the family members. We have a comprehensive intake package that we provide where we get to learn more about that loved one before the disease took place, because we want to bring that to light. We want to bring back their dignity and bring back to light who they were before the disease.
We're going to have to go to break, so hold that thought. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about how you go about doing that and what that means in terms of services. Sit tight, we'll be right back.
Here is your February community calendar. Do you need some assistance in tax preparation? AARP is offering a free tax aid program with 13 sites in Northern Virginia. It is a free service to low and middle income taxpayers of all ages. The site in the city of Alexandria is the Lee Center at 1108 Jefferson Street, and they are opened on Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Check out Senior Services website for other locations posted on the screen below. Are you looking to improve your computer skills and become tech savvy? Check out JCA's Senior Tech courses in Crystal City and Arlington, Virginia. They offer courses from computer basics to how to purchase a personal computer to learning how to use your iPhone. For more information, call 240-395-0916 or go to accessjca.org. Senior Services is holding its February speaker series on February 10th. This month's topic is maintaining memory and coping with its loss. This will be a great event on how you can stimulate your brain to keep it active and lessen memory loss. There will be great speakers from a number of local organizations. This event is free. To register, go to seniorservicesalex.org or call 703-836-4414, extension 110. Do you want to learn more about Social Security benefits? Check out this workshop presented by the Foundation for Personal Financial Education that will identify factors to consider when deciding to take your benefits, see how your decisions can impact your loved ones, and identify opportunities to help fill your retirement income gap. It is taking place on Friday, February 26, 2016, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Beatley Central Library, located at 5005 Duke Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 22304. It is free. To register, please email Renee LaPlante at the website below or call 703-746-1010. 1751. See you next month.
Hi, I'm Matt McGarry with the Spec Cauldron Investment Group of Wells Fargo Advisors, and I'm here today to talk to you about the risks within your investments. When we talk about risk, we're really trying to identify the potential negative impact or loss of value for your investments. And I think it's important to understand that all asset classes have risk and all investments have risk. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, they all carry a level of risk and at times go down in value and at times can even lose value and lose 100% of their value. If you think back of what happened in the late 90s during the tech boom and the dot-com bubble, internet startup companies created in a basement, got a lot of attention, a lot of money going into them, and due to maybe bad business models, ended up being bankrupt and going belly up after the market corrected. And more recently, not just startups, but if you look at what happened in the financial crisis of 2008, we had well-established investment banks that have been around for centuries, due to mismanagement or over-leveraged, went bankrupt as well. So I think it's important to understand that not just stocks have risk, but also other asset classes have risk. Maybe not to the level or extent that those stocks do, but fixed income or bonds and even cash holds a level of risk as well. So when you look at different asset classes, I wanted to just take a second and kind of go over some of the risks associated with each of those asset classes. As I mentioned with the stocks, you obviously have those unique risks that occurred to those companies that went bankrupt. But you also have what's called systemic or market risk, which is you could maybe invest in a very well-established, financially strong U.S. company, but because of the economy or the market environment, you'd be susceptible to the rise and fall of the market as well, which is the market or systemic risk. If you look at investing internationally, you have the same unique investment risk with the underlying companies. You also have the market risk, but added to that is a layer of currency risk, or how much that investment will return when you put it back to US dollars. And even in some emerging market investments, they have those same risks, plus they have a level of political risk, the political uncertainty in those economies. So I think it's important to understand that those asset classes have unique risk, but there's other asset classes that are traditionally a little bit more conservative, such as bonds and cash. The risk associated with bonds have to do with the underlying credit quality, the solvency of the issuer itself, as it relates to whether they're going to be able to meet their debt obligations. And another risk associated with bonds is interest rate risk. As interest rates rise, values in the bonds go down. And lastly, even short-term cash alternatives and savings accounts have risk. Maybe not to the level or the extent that the stocks do, but the risk with those investments are inflation risk or buying power risk. So given all of these risks, it begs the question why people invest. Well, with the amount of risk, you should be rewarded with a higher return potential. We all know that when we look at our savings accounts, they're very safe investments. However, they don't really yield any return to them. When we look at, conversely, the stock market, we get reminded daily of the amount of risk related to the stock market. But however, if you look at the returns of the stock market, historically, over a long period of time, stocks have returned anywhere between 8 to 12%. So given all of these risks, how do you go about managing the risks? Well, I think it's important to understand not necessarily what you're invested in, but what you're investing for. For example, if you have a trip next year, or if you're going to be allocating some money to maybe give to your granddaughter for her upcoming wedding, you'd want to make sure that that money is safe and give up any return potential and leave it in cash. However, if you're looking to maybe pass along your investments to the next generation, if you left that money in cash, you'd be really giving up some return potential and, if anything, eroding the underlying value due to inflation. So in those situations, it makes sense to look to invest in some investments that offer a higher return. Historically, the longer your time frame of investment, the greater the likelihood of having a positive return is. And another way to manage risk is through diversification, diversifying between stocks and bonds and cash. For example, cash, we recommend that it's important to have between 3 to 6 months of cash on hand in case anything unforeseen happens, that you know that money will be there for you. But mixing it between, for longer term assets, a mix between bonds and stocks may make sense. An added level of diversification is within stocks themselves, looking to diversify between larger cap companies and small and mid cap companies, investing between U.S. and even international companies. And even within international, maybe a segment of emerging markets makes sense. And then with bonds, you can diversify between the credit quality. Higher credit quality usually doesn't have as high of a return or yield, and higher yielding bonds may have a little bit lower credit quality, but a mix between the two may make sense, as well as a mix between longer term bonds, medium term, and shorter term. So it's important when you're putting together a portfolio to make sure that you are diversified. What's happening when you diversify your assets, it helps smooth out the ride. All the asset classes I mentioned do not go up and down in the same manner. And by putting them together in a diversified manner, it helps you smooth your ride. So in conclusion, I think it's important to understand that all investments have risk. It's important to understand what you're investing for, not necessarily what you're investing in. And then as you do invest, to make sure that you're well diversified. Thanks and have a great day.
Welcome to the February Book of the Month Club. This month's book is Girl on the Train, an extremely popular book for all ages. Rachel, the main narrator of Paula Hawkins' novel, The Girl on the Train, is obsessed with a couple she sees on the train each day during her commute to and from London. They represent to her the perfect relationship that she once had, or seemed to, before it imploded. The people we meet in The Girl on the Train are drawn beautifully. The point of view alternates among three characters: luckless, obsessed Rachel, charming, complicated Megan, and Anna, the new love of Rachel's ex, Tom. Much of the complexity of the novel is due to Rachel, an exceptionally unreliable narrator with a tendency to pass out drunk, forgetting everything that happened the day before. But what really makes The Girl on the Train such a gripping novel is Hawkins's remarkable understanding of the limits of human knowledge and the degree to which memory and imagination can become confused. The ending has a twist you will never believe. Please share your thoughts with me by emailing me at mealsonwheels@seniorservicesalex.org or by calling me at 703-836-4414, extension 112.
We're back. I'm here with Francia Smith, Marketing Director at Arden Courts Memory Care, and she's at their Annandale location. And we were talking before about the services that Arden Courts provides, but now we want to get a little bit into how do you recognize and diagnose the care that is needed?
The first step is for the family member to reach out and just share with us what their situation is, to share what they're facing, because that will allow us to cater and to customize the sort of assistance and make sure that they receive the support and as well as the access to the resources that they need.
Do you have specific diagnostic tools? I think most people have a vague sense that their memory is impaired and their ability to function is impaired, but they don't know exactly the extent of it. Yes. Are you able to take those indicators and translate them into a specific course of care or even timing when they might move into your facilities?
Definitely. We rely on the FAST scale, which is what a lot of different medical experts rely on as well. There are different tools out there, but we also have an internal assessment tool that we use to identify where they may be and just to even identify if they would be appropriate for a place like Arden Courts. They are sometimes resistant because it is acknowledging the fact that they are losing their memory, right. And oftentimes denial takes hold, and that's what usually keeps people away from a place like Arden Courts or any other memory care community for the longest time. Oftentimes caregivers come to us, and when they finally make that decision and they feel the relief of knowing that it is the right decision, they tell us that they waited too long to even seek out help, that they should have reached out sooner. So we're hoping that through all of the educational opportunities that we provide and collaborate with other organizations, they will be able to have the confidence to even just reach out.
One thing we skipped over, what's the, in your estimation, the extent of the problem?
There are some intense statistics out there, Jim, and they need to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why it's so important for people to realize that learning about memory and memory care in particular is essential to the future of themselves as well as their family members. Mm-hmm. 1 in 3 seniors will die of Alzheimer's or a dementia-related disorders. That's a huge statistic to keep in mind.
It's hard to escape those numbers.
Yes.
You can't, of course, stop this ongoing change of behavior, change of memory, whatever. Do you think you're able to slow it down, or is there any way to measure that, or is there a benefit above and beyond just quality care?
No, it's not necessarily my expertise, but what I can share are the statistics that bring to light the problem. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, Alzheimer's is considered according to the Alzheimer's Association, it's considered the number 6 leading cause in the U.S. of death.
Of death, okay.
Of death. But it's also important to keep in mind that there are many other different types of dementias. Some are reversible, some are not. Some can be slowed down a little bit, some cannot. And if you reach out to your medical experts in your area, whether it's your primary care physician, a neurologist, a psychiatrist, they will be able to hopefully provide you with a diagnosis or at least point you in the right direction as to what type of support you need.
And so one of the beauties of Arden Courts is that recognizing that range of abilities, you're able to plug in, okay, this person is at stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and find appropriate help. Not necessarily, maybe treatment is the right word, but certainly help for that condition.
Right, it's definitely more support than treatment. Mm-hmm. We realize that dementia is a progressive disease, regardless of what the cause might be. And knowing that it's a progressive disease, it's only going to get worse. And everybody's journey is different. Some have a quicker decline than others, and we don't know where we're going to fall on that point if we're the ones that are diagnosed with dementia.
Are your services only delivered as being a resident or like on an outpatient of the medical equivalent?
That is not available at our locations.
Okay.
We offer educational support out in the communities, and we offer also support groups for caregivers. Mm-hmm. But to get the full impact and benefit of a place like Arden Courts, it's important to make sure that that it's somebody that's living there.
And what can people do to maintain or their memory or to avoid memory loss? What are some things that maybe your organization has learned over the year?
One of the things to keep in mind is that with dementia, there's nothing that you can necessarily do to prevent it once it strikes.
Right.
But in a nutshell, it's important to just make sure that we're living a balanced lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, eating right, exercising our bodies as well as our brains, mm-hmm. doing exercises, and limiting the amount of stress that we encounter in our everyday lives.
So part of the community relations that you do, seminars, et cetera, is not just this is our alternative or our solution, but here's some other things that you can do on your own or families should be aware of. Is that how it works? Okay. What do you have take a typical progression of somebody that comes to you, the family identifies it, person is willing to come, you have an intake interview, figure out their placement in terms of a range of services, and then it's kind of like a prescription, isn't it? That you then say they fit at this stage and this is what we think they need to do?
Each individual receives a customized care plan, mm-hmm. taking into account everything that the family members share with us as well as their medical background and history.
Okay.
And that's something that we implement on a daily basis, and it's modified on an ongoing basis. Okay. The communication that we maintain with the family members as well as the medical experts in our area as well as the medical staff that we have, that we collaborate with on site, is stellar.
Okay. We're coming to the end of the program in terms of the time we've got, but how can people find out more about Arden Courts? you know, they want to learn more and be in touch with you maybe. How does that happen?
Art in Courts is having a wonderful dementia education series that's coming up starting in March. We're collaborating with a lot of experts as well as organizations in the area. I'd love for people to reach out to us and let us know that they're interested in learning more about that, and they can reach me directly. And they can reach me directly at 571-340-2576.
Okay, great. Well, that's terrific. Thank you for being with us and sharing that information, telling us a little bit more about Art in Courts. So thank you very much.
Thank you.